everyone. Welcome to Fulfilled After 40, the podcast. I'm your host, Kris Kendall. Today, I'm here with Monique, and we're going to be talking a little bit about her business and how she can grow it to be six figures. So, Monique, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Kris. Happy to be here.
Great, great. All right. So, tell us a little bit about your business, where you're at, and where you want to take it.
Okay. Well, the name of my business is Soaring Without Limits Enterprises, affectionately known as SWOL. And what we do is help women to overcome mental blocks and self-imposed limitations, and we use travel as the vehicle to do so. So my niche is to help women to go out and explore the world, in particular, international travel for women who are 35 plus professionals who are now ready to give themselves permission to live. That's basically the gist of what we do. We are also going to be offering more into the mental health space. I'm in the middle of promoting a PTSD retreat, which is exclusively for women who suffer from PTSD, which will be June of next year. And we're going to be starting some new programs helping for mental health as well, how to overcome fear and how to heal from trauma. So I'm super excited. So I launched the business in January of 21. Of course, we were still during the pandemic, so we weren't able to travel. So I kicked it off with a computer-based course called I Believe I Can Fly, which teaches the ins and outs of travel. And then in 22, I actually started being able to host trips and take ladies to Dubai and Bali is what I've been able to do thus far.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. That sounds like such an awesome trip. I've got to look into some of these upcoming trips you have. Wow. I love traveling too, so that's very cool. And so you do all the planning, like you get a group together and then you
Yep, you pretty much just show up. So
I
yes, we're a
love that.
one-stop shop. So everything is handled for you.
That is the perfect trip. I love that. Okay. All right. So you started probably in the very toughest travel time in our lifetime, right? So
Right. Yes.
the fact that you were able to, get it going during the past couple of years is really awesome. So what are some of the things that you did to get your first couple of tours together and start your business?
Well, it actually started as a result of the pandemic because we had so much time to sit and look, and I realized that I wasn't fulfilled in life. So that first year, like from 19 to 20, I pretty much started laying out the plans then as to where I wanted to go, and then also surveying women who were in my target market, like where would you like to go? So that is where it began, and then of course monitoring when the world was allowing us to be able to travel again. So my planning started like a year out in advance, which gave me
Yeah.
plenty of time to be able to get smart on what the requirements were at that time when we still needed COVID tests, if you had to be vaccinated or not. So that is truly how it started off. And that first trip was to Dubai in 2021. Yeah, the end
Wow,
of
that's a big
2021.
trip.
Yes.
Okay. And so who were your first clients? Like how did you get in front of how did you get these first few people to join your tour?
Well, initially, everyone pretty much in my circle knows like travel is I'm the go-to person. So I was been doing this for who knows how long for family, for friends. So it really started with my inner circle. And then I ended up getting a business coach and who helped me to learn how to, of course, use social media to be able to attract customers as well. And
Okay.
then coming on platforms far as podcasts. So a
Yeah.
lot came from that as well, as far as people who saw the podcast episode and the offerings that I had and reached out to me that way as well.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So social media, when are you just posting like about the trips to your network or are you paying for ads?
I have not started paying for ads yet because I was still trying to get like all of my administrative stuff completed, and I also started venturing into public speaking. So I have a lot of different entities going on. But yes, I will be starting here shortly to do Google ads and probably on YouTube as well.
Okay. All right. And so, will you be marketing like one of the upcoming trips? So a specific trip, on this specific date that's already planned, or are you inviting groups of people, like, friends or departments, teams kind of thing, to come to you and say, we want to go to Paris next August? So, like, how are you structuring that?
So it is both, actually. I'm working doing trips from whether it be couples or small groups who come to me to plan for them. And then I'm also offering group offerings as well that I sponsor throughout the year. And that typically goes out to my mailing list as well as my social media platforms, my website, and my YouTube channel, and any type of platforms that I may have the opportunity to be a guest on.
Okay. All right. So right now, you have a a good business, but it's not as big as you want it to be. So you want it to grow, I think, several times. So maybe get into that, break that six figure, let's say like 150,000 a year. Is that true?
Yes, that's
Is that
most
one of your
definitely, because my desire is to be able to do this full time. Right now, I am working full time, and then, of course, after work, I work on my business.
right? Okay, excellent. All right. So, in order to make 150,000 a year, let's see, what is the math on that? We need to break it down to, uh, let's see. I probably should be able to do this in my head, but so that's 12,500 a month.
Mhm.
Okay. So how much, like, if somebody wants to join one of your tours, about how much are they going to spend?
So the case in point, one that we're doing for next year for Japan. So that is going to be around 7,500 per person.
Okay, perfect. So you really only need a few, like two to three people to join every month for a tour, whether that's this specific tour or one of the other ones. Does that sound about right? Well, no, because
Um,
that's costs, right? Okay, so on that
that's
7,500, how
correct.
much is your profit?
Oh, so my commission would be 20% of that total cost. So that is why I cannot just depend on just the travel alone, why I'm also venturing to the public speaking, author, well, as far as books as well, and then developing the mental health programs to have multiple streams of income coming to the business.
Okay. So what is your goal for the travel business? How much do you want the travel business to be bringing in on, say, a monthly basis?
I would say, as far as a monthly basis for the travel business, at least, because I think that one would be the one I have to do the most for. 10 to 15,000 would be
Okay.
ideal.
All right. So that 12,500 is right in that ballpark. Okay. So that's perfect. Okay. So based on that, if we say 15,000 and you're making about 1,500 um, per new guest, so you need about 10, right? 10 new
Mhm.
guests to sign up every month. Okay. So in the past, how many guests do you get signing up on average? Like, is it one a month? Every couple months you have a couple?
Well,
Like how?
that in that case, the one that I host that I just mentioned for Japan, those are my higher tickets. The trips that I plan for personnel for their personal trips typically range between around 3,500. So of course they're on the lower end.
Okay.
So
So
and that
is that still 20%?
10% of those.
That's your commission is 10%?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're making about 350.
right.
Okay. So is it would you say that you prefer one or the like, do you love doing these smaller tours or do you love doing the bigger tours or is it equal?
Well, anytime that I'm able to help someone make their travel dreams reality is pleasure to me. But of course, I would love ours, the bigger ones, to have a greater turnout.
Yeah.
Since I've only hosted two, and as I said, the first one was right when we were open in the pandemic, and then the second one, I lost half of my participants because of the COVID requirements, unfortunately. So
Yes. Well, Japan has opened up, right? Are you talking about for Japan specifically or
the
the
last one that I last year for Bali.
Okay, okay, yes, yeah. So I just went to Japan a few months ago, and yeah, we had put that trip off for 3 years because it kept, make it. We couldn't do that. So next year will be a great time for you to go. Okay, excellent. So yeah, I mean, I would say obviously if you are able to focus on these higher ticket items, it's going to be a lot easier for you to reach your income goals, and that's
Mm-hmm.
you know it's just going to be uh, uh, you'll be able to get there much faster. The smaller ones, of course, are probably fun. And would you say that you have more people interested in the lower ticket items, or what when people come to
Well,
you?
I mean, that's going throughout the year, the smaller ticket one. The bigger one is the one that I'm able to sponsor and I also attend. But since I work full time, I'm limited on, so that's the problem that we
Yeah,
have.
right. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. So do you attend all of them?
No, I
No, it's
attend the
just the
bigger
big
one.
ones.
That's,
Okay.
yeah. Mhm.
The other one would be for a small group. You just give them their itinerary, you set everything up for them, and they go.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. That now, if you didn't have your job anymore, would you want to attend? I mean, would it make more sense for you to attend some of these smaller ones, or is it really for a group that just needs you to do the planning?
It's just a group, but I will be able to host more, at least three probably bigger events that I personally host and attend.
Okay,
And I find that when I'm attending, I draw more people because I'm actually on ground with them.
yeah,
So yes.
okay, that makes sense. So you could maybe do one a quarter, for example.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. So to get you to that point, we probably have to focus on the smaller ones because that's where the money's going to come from before you can quit your job. Does that
That's
sound
correct.
right?
So that's what I'm saying. In order to continue to get traffic and have some far as income fluctuating, I'm taking those smaller ones throughout the
Okay.
year.
Okay. So how are you positioning these done for you tour packages for your group? Like what are you saying about it or what are you calling it or tell me a little bit about that.
So I pretty much, like I said, as far as using social media, and then I am posting what those offerings are. So it's like a travel reel. I've been using a lot of that as far as for social media, the reels, actually sharing my own travel experiences, chopping them up to show them this could be, painting the picture as far as that this could be you, as well as at the end giving them an overview of what comes with that specific package.
Right. Okay. Um, who is so you said it's women, like 35 and up.
35 plus. Mhm.
Okay. And so are they mostly like girls trips? Like a group
Well,
of girlfriends?
I've been having an equal amount of girls and couples. So far as for customers.
Okay. So couples like three groups of friends, husband, wife, husband, wife type
No,
of
like
thing.
couples, actual
Oh, just
couples.
just two
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Okay. So they're okay. And then are there any other group types that seem to rise to the
Yeah,
top?
so I'm gonna be having next year a couple of birthday parties. I have quite a few of those, and those are my larger groups. Like, well, this one will probably be about 25 people. So yeah. So I typically start planning for those a year out as well.
Okay, so that's an adult with like maybe a milestone birthday coming up, and they get all their
Mhm.
friends and
Family to go.
closest. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. So, um, I would love to kind of come up with a way of positioning those types of things. Are there any words that you use when you're describing like this cut? So something like, you know, plan your next outings, plan your next party to a exotic location, or make your next birthday party a destination party with all of your closest friends, or get your girls together and spend 4 days in your favorite city, or like, do you have any of those kind of
Well, my
like
thing normally is my I forgot the cliche statement is soaring without limits turns your travel fantasies into your reality. As my elevator quick
yep, yep.
line. But my keywords, of course, are empowerment, freedom, and limitless. Because I find that majority of the women that I work with have very minimal international travel experience, and there's a lot of fear there.
Yep.
So first, they need to be empowered in the mindset set before they feel that they're capable of even starting on this adventure.
Okay. Okay, because that sounds like two different things. Like me and my husband wanting to take a trip to Europe is different
Mhm.
than me never having, but I don't know how to plan that trip, so I need to hire somebody to be my planner, versus
Right.
I've never left the country and I, have a bucket list to do it, but I'm afraid. So where would you say your like real specialty is, or where do you feel like the market that you want to serve is?
I feel as far as I work best with those who have minimum experience because that is what I'm here for. They're coming to me for guidance. They're coming to me to get those fears placated. They're coming to get those questions answered. And so that's where I definitely work best.
Okay. So maybe never traveled before, or very limited international travel, but they have a dream of traveling, and
Yeah,
you want to help them make that a reality.
correct.
Okay. Okay. So I love that. Okay. So you said something like travel fantasy, or
Turning your travel fantasies into your reality.
turn your travel fantasies into your reality. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, and then do you think for people that have that kind of a situation, so like the people that are throwing a birthday party for 25 people,
Mhm.
that's a different group than the travel fantasies international trips, right?
Right. These people have been traveled before, but um, a lot. I also get repeat customers or word of mouth. So they heard about another birthday trip that I planned, and so they came to me to plan for
Right.
them. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So it sounds like in order to get your your money flowing in, get your revenue up to the point that you can take more of these fantasy big trips, we need to focus on the smaller trips, which is not the people who have never traveled. It's more of the get your people together and let's have an awesome trip, and I'll do all the planning for you.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Right. Well, that's what I meant. As far as when I think during our initial talk, the consistency is not
Yeah.
there with
Yeah.
that. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things I would encourage you to do is kind of pick one or the other, knowing that one group is the afraid to travel, have some, insecurities or overwhelm, and you want to help them do a big trip, but you can only do one of those a year. So that's going to be a limited group, versus the smaller groups that are, and they're not even necessarily smaller in count of people, because it might be 25 people, right? So,
Right.
but it's a smaller trip. It's more of a domestic trip. Maybe it's a couple hours away from where they're starting out. It's not necessarily 15
Well, no,
hours
all of
away.
these trips are international. I don't really do domestic trips. So, but I
Oh,
mean, they
okay.
might be going to like, well, like this one, they're going to Aruba.
Okay.
So yeah, right. I really
Okay.
don't do. So we're not doing like Middle East, Asia, when I say smaller, compared to bigger, that's what I'm referencing.
Okay. So I was thinking like New Orleans or something like that. So it's
Oh, no,
not that kind of a thing. It's still a big trip, an
right.
international trip, but it's 25 people for their birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so why are you only making 10% on those trips versus 20?
So for those, I'm using far as one of, well, I guess you could say consider it for a broker for those versus depends on who I'm using as partners or if I'm doing it totally independently. That is the disparagement of cost when that comes into play.
Okay.
It's
So
more a logistics thing that that comes into play.
okay. So it's easier for you to use a different service when it's a bigger group, or what? I'm just trying to understand the difference. Like, why can't you just use the one that you make 20% for
Because it's
everybody?
depending on the place, far as the vendor that it used, the availability, the type of trip that I'm using for. So though that plays a lot of makes a big difference as
Okay.
to how I choose, how I make that come to fruition.
Okay. So can you still charge them 20% though?
It depends on which vendor that I'm using. That's why I said I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible.
Well, okay. So
Far
your
as for
vendor like determines the commission that they pay you. So is that they have to pay through somebody else and then you either get 10%, or if it's a different one,
no,
you
it
get
comes down
20%?
to far as your certification for the travel industry. And my certification is under the umbrella of another company. Since
Okay.
I'm leveraging those relationships that they have with those vendors, that is why that percentage, because I have to give them a percentage. So that's pretty much what it boils down to.
Okay. All right. So, and you want to keep it because it sounds like, well, I guess I should ask, are you doing the same amount of work for the 10% commission as for the 20% commission?
Right. So I know ideally the main thing would be to be totally independent. But with me working full time, I am very limited in my
Yeah.
capabilities, unfortunately. So that will mean far as getting total independence, forging my own relationship. So that is again, I'm time restraint because of my job.
Yeah. No, no, that makes perfect sense. What I'm trying to understand is, could you just say your own, okay. So is the amount of work that you do for a trip that's with the one vendor that pays 10% a lot less than the amount of work that you do for the vendor that pays you 20%?
Well, it's not about the vendor. It's about far as me doing it totally independently, not using of the relationships of the vendors under my parent company. That is more so the issue that I have here. Am I going to do a total use of a vendor that is not under the umbrella of that parent company that I can charge distinctly everything underneath my company independently? So that is where the limitations come into play as far as me being able to meet the demands and needs of the customer under those terms, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I have more options underneath the umbrella of the parent company who has thousands of relationships of vendors versus me trying to find each one and find it individually myself, if
Okay.
that makes it a little
Yeah.
clearer.
And that's the one that pays 10%.
Correct.
Okay. And the way that you get paid, is the client paying you the amount and you just tack on 10% to that, or do they pay the vendor and the vendor pays you a 10% commission?
So it goes through first through the vendor payment, and then I get my commission on the back end.
Okay. So you can't change that. You can't upsell. You can't mark it up a little bit higher. It's
Not if
whatever the
I'm
charge
working
is.
underneath the umbrella of the parent company. If I'm doing this totally independently, then yes, I can.
Right. Okay. But for the next, until you leave your job, you can't do it totally independently. Is that true? You kind of
I don't
need
really
to
have
be
the
full.
time
Yeah.
capacity to
Right.
do it. I'll just be
Okay.
honest with
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. So we've got to work with with the assumption that you're going to be using this company and you're going to get 10% on it, period. That's the reality until you build up that revenue to the point that you can quit your job and then you can kind of go a different
Right,
planning
correct. That
route.
will give
Okay.
me more of my work. Yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So with that in place, okay. So what if you're going to be making 10%, we need to get you to 15,000 or you need to be bringing in 15,000. So you need to be selling 150,000 a month in order to get the revenue that you need to quit. Is that right? Is that the right math?
You said 150 a month. Oh, because of the percentage. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because
it
you're
will
only
definitely
getting
have,
10%. Yeah.
the only way to do that would, of course, be like I said, that's why I can't totally rely on the travel. That's why my numbers aren't just on that because of that limitation of the percentage. So I'm not putting all the earnings just in the trips, if that makes sense.
Okay. So how are we going to get you to 150 or 15,000 a month? Yeah. So if not through the travel, what is the business that
It's
could
going to
get
be
you
a
there?
combination of the travel, public speaking events, and as well as book sales. Those are
Okay.
and then the retreats that I'm now starting to host, as well as the programs that will be developed beginning of the year. So it's going to be a combination of those items.
Okay. So there isn't any one of those that you can make 15,000 a month on. You don't think?
Not
Like
right
the
now, no.
tell me what the books are about. I'm have a publishing background, so tell me a little bit about your books.
Okay, so the first book is my book that I did release independently last year. Take That Trip, Girl, the Ultimate Bucket List Journal. So that one is like laying down the foundation that I do with each client, the mindset work. We're covering that in the journal. As far as asking you those prompting questions, what are you afraid of? What are your limitations? What's stopping you? Then getting you over the hurdle to make a travel plan. We're giving you motivation with 10 of the most popular international destinations and sharing tidbits of facts and information. We're laying out a travel plan for you. So that is what that entails.
Okay. And how are you selling that?
So same way, social media platforms, and then of course there will be ads and speaking on my whenever I'm on a platform.
Okay. So is that on Amazon, Barnes and Noble? Is it on all the
On
stores or is it
Amazon
exclusive?
and on my website.
Okay. All right. So it's not exclusive to or it's a printed book, right? It's not an
Yes,
ebook. Okay, got it,
it's an
got it.
ebook,
Okay.
an ebook version as well as print.
Okay. So and how much does that cost?
Amazon is $14.99. On my website is $19.99 because you'll get an autographed copy.
Oh, okay, fun. All right, cool. Okay. And so if you're selling it for 14.99, that means so like 15, you make about $4.50 per copy. Does that sound about right?
For Amazon?
Yeah, 30%.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. And if you sell it yourself, you make basically $20 a copy.
correct.
Okay, got it. Okay, so that's very good. All right. And are you currently selling very many? Are they bringing in money now, or do you need to get started on that marketing?
Well, I mean, I marketed last year, so when they came out, so then now I'm like at a lull, like a little
Yeah.
here, a little there. It's not a consistent basis, of course.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay. So that is something that that could bring in some money. Okay, so that's good. And then the public speaking, are you doing that on a regular basis?
Well, I'm just starting on that, so that is new.
Okay.
So that is one that will definitely be by the beginning next year as far as to be able to bring in revenue doing that. So I'm getting my experience doing online summits, virtual summits, doing these podcasts, so that I can build to start charging speaking fees.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So um so based on these just these three, and I know you've got a couple other streams of income as well, but it sounds like maybe the books could be a good way. Do you use them as a lead magnet, like giving them away in order to get people to, um, sign up for your mailing list or learn about your trips or anything like that?
No, I have other free lead magnets that I've been using.
Okay, and what are those?
Dazzling Dubai, the tourist guide, and then your top 10 budget trips. Excuse me, budget tips are my two free lead magnets.
Okay. And how are people finding out about those?
About so I also have a travel group in Facebook. So each person that joins that group gets a copy of that. And then, of course, I use them as giveaways when I'm on a platform
Yeah. Okay,
as well.
awesome. All right. And how big is your Facebook group?
I have 1,400
Oh,
ladies.
wow. Okay, that's great. Okay, cool. So, are any of those people, are they like interested in traveling, but they just haven't pulled the trigger yet, or are they friends of friends who have been on trips with you? How did you get that many
It's
people?
it's a culmination of both. That far as those who are travelers, those who've never traveled. So it's a mix. So I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right, great. So, where would you, in the next, like, say 90 days, where do you
Mhm.
think of all of these things you could focus, if you had to pick one, where do you think you could focus to make the most money?
Well, the one that would make the most is the upcoming trip to Japan.
Okay.
That would be
And
the bigger ticket item.
all right, how many people do you need to join that, or is there a maximum?
I don't have a cap actually. So I typically would try to aim between 20, 30 people.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So that is great because that would be a good amount of money, and that would definitely get you some revenue that would help you with the advertising and with all the other stuff. Okay, so that's a good goal. Um, if you wanted to reach additional people,
Mhm.
I mean, I know you're doing the podcast and you're getting in on a lot of different platforms. Are there a few other ways that you think you could reach the kind of people who are, so for this, would it be the people who are afraid to travel or just people who want to travel?
No, for this one, I've had people who are wanting to travel and who've been desiring to go but haven't had the opportunity.
Okay.
I would say for this trip.
Yeah. Okay. And so what are some of the how are you describing this trip? Like if I said, yeah, I've always, thought about traveling, where are you going next? Like, how would you tell it, describe it to me?
For Japan, I would definitely say, as far as has Tokyo been on your bucket list? How would you like to climb Mount Fiji? How would you like to take a train throughout the countryside and go to Kyoto and see Japan? Are you tired of waiting? How about we go ahead and make a plan so that we can get you to that place? Something of that
Yeah, yeah,
nature.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that all sounds amazing. Okay, good. Okay, so um, are there what are some of the things that you think you can do that you haven't already been doing to get in front of new people with that message? Like to really advertise this specific trip with those specific activities, some of the adventures they'll experience.
Oh, I'm trying to think because I've been doing quite a lot. So I'm not sure what else I may not have tapped into, to be honest with you, because I use my mailing list, I use my travel group, I use my social media platforms, I use the podcast, I also do vending. So I'm not sure what I haven't tapped into that is
Vending?
still available. Yes, I do vending events here in my local area.
What is that?
Like last week, there was a fundraiser for MS, so I would go and vend at
Okay, like have a
vendor.
table at a,
Mhm.
okay, got it. Okay, got it, got it. Okay, no, that's great. Okay, and are you specifically talking about this Japan trip or are you talking about everything?
No, basically all the offerings that I have.
Okay. How would you feel if for the next 60 days you only talked about the Japan trip? How does that make you feel?
I feel like that's limiting because I'm cutting off an entire audience if I'm telling them that this is all that I'm speaking on. Everyone doesn't desire to go to Japan, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
that's what initially comes to mind for me.
Okay. Yep. Okay, that's fair. And I will say that I am the same way. I've got 40,000 businesses at any given time, and anything you say you need, I probably have a business that can help you do it. So I am the same way. I don't ever like to limit myself. But when you're trying to sell when you're talking to somebody and you try to explain there's 40 different things that you do, it's too much. They're not going to focus on any one thing. And even if that sounds good, then you start talking on the next thing and that sounds good. And then this other thing. And in the end, they're like, okay, well, maybe I'll buy your book on Amazon and you've made $4 from them. Right. So if for a short period of time you were to only focus on the one thing that you really want to sell that will make you the most money, that you're doing anyways, like you're going to Japan, whether they come or not, you're going to be there and you're going to have some people with you. You want them to join you, but it's happening. So it's a guaranteed thing versus all this other stuff is, if you want this or if you'd like that, or if you have a big birthday coming up, or if your friend, so if you were to focus on just this, now that's not to say if they're like, God, I would love to go to Japan, but what I really want to do first is go to Paris, then then you talk about how you can get them to Paris. But if the only thing you tell people is right now, I've got this amazing trip of a lifetime. We're going to do all these great things. It's affordable. All you have to do is show up at the airport and we take care of everything else. Um, then people are thinking about that and that's what they're focusing on, and hopefully that's the offer that they want to get more information on, and that's where they want to you know work with you on that one. Do you feel
Okay.
like that's something
Do
you
you
could
think,
consider?
I guess my question that's running through my head now is that for our social media, if you keep pushing the same thing, how effective is that?
Right.
If
Okay.
you're emphasizing only that, and this trip is not until November of 2024. So that is what's come to first thing coming to mind for me.
Yep. Okay. So the thing with social media is there's a lot of people who only have one thing. They sell one thing. They only do one thing and they're posting every single day, right? But it doesn't feel like they're selling one thing because they're talking about stuff. So one day you talk about you do an interview with someone who has hiked Mount Fiji. And another day you are posting about this amazing sushi dinner you're eating. And another day you're posting about some words that you've learned in Japanese, or you're like whatever, you're talking about it in a non-salesy way.
Okay.
Like, how are the posts that you're doing now? Is it mostly like, hey, I've got this trip coming up, would you like to join me?
For posts, it would be, or I'm sharing like, because a lot of the places I've been myself, so I'm sharing like some of the experiences. And then, far as for my email marketing, I'm sharing fun facts or um, tips about the location itself.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I'm saying, are you interested and would you like to join and see this for yourself?
Yeah. Okay. And so so on your mailing list, how often are you sending emails?
So for the mailing list, those are twice a month.
Okay. And you're talking about all the different stuff, all the different offerings you have?
So yeah, whether with the trips that we have offering for that year, I'm also now promoting one of my other big efforts is the PTSD retreat. So that's being promoted every single month,
Okay.
as well.
Okay. So it sounds like you're currently kind of promoting the same thing twice a month, right? The same offerings, maybe with different language and different graphics and stuff, but it's kind of a
Mhm.
list of the same things. Okay. So you're sort of doing that already. And so maybe so you could continue to do that, not saying that you can't talk about all that, but maybe like the feature message at the top, the big article or the big post or the big thing that you're talking about is the Japan trip. And then you have smaller, feature blocks that talk about and grab the book. And I've got this other thing going on. And here's an opportunity to join a different retreat if you know somebody experiencing PTSD, like kind of throw all those in there as additional pieces, but the focus is on the big trip. And um, same thing with your posts. It could be about every episode, every newsletter is a different aspect of traveling to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Different type of food that a dessert that they're one of the things that I learned in Japan is their desserts are very, very different than what I would call a dessert. Right?
Mm,
Everything I tried was very different. Um, there were no cupcakes or cookies
right.
that looked like my kind of cookies, right? So it was just a very different food experience. And so I would have loved to have learned more about that going in and kind of had a plan of like, oh, I've got to make sure I find that somewhere. I've got to find this somewhere. Got to make sure I try that. So if you focus on where you want people to focus, because this is where you're going to make the money. That's a trip that's going to get you the financial freedom that you want, or those kind of trips. Right now, you
Mhm.
can only try, plan one big trip over the next year. So this is the one that we've got to make it count, and you've got to with um, each different vehicle you have each channel to get in front of people, you want to try to get one sign up, one person to call you and say, "Hey, I'm really interested in that Japan trip. Tell me a little bit more." And
Mhm.
and that'll get you closer to sold out. Japan
Right.
2024 is full. Now we're planning Scotland 2025 or Dubai or whatever the next trip is going to be and get people excited about the next big thing because that's really what's going to get you that financial freedom. All the little things, all the small pieces, those are important streams of income. I like having them too. You want to have lots of things coming in, but for the kind of money you need, 15,000 a month, all these little things are not going to get you there. It's going to take a lot of work to get 7 different offers to bring in that kind of money. If one offer will do it and it's one offer you're excited about, people are going to love, it's you know I don't want to say easy, but you know exactly what the work involved is. It's something that you are going to be doing anyway. So whether you're doing it
Mhm.
for 5 people or 40 people, it's kind of
Right.
the same. And so that I would encourage you to just try to focus there and really push that in a non-salesy way to see if that increases the number of takers.
Okay. Well, I mean, that will be a different approach as far as sharing fun facts throughout. I haven't done it that way, so that would be different.
Okay. All right. And is that something you feel okay with? I know it's scary, right? To do it.
No, I'm not okay. I mean, I'm saying I have to think about it. I'm a person. I have to process like how would that work? How does it look? How can I do it? So yeah,
Yeah.
it'll have to grow on me, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Okay. Can you think of one of the reasons that you are hesitating?
Because I still feel as if I'm cutting off potential clients because everyone may not be interested in Japan. That is what the main thing I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so the people that come to you that are not interested in Japan, do you think that they'll not know that you do other stuff and that they'll feel like they can't approach you about other trips?
No, no, I think pretty much they know that I have other offerings as well.
Okay.
But I think a repeat, like I just had a repeat client who went with me to Bali. She's like, "What's the next big trip?" So, like the people who've already worked with me, of course, know. But I guess I'm thinking of people who don't or who are not familiar with me.
Yeah. Okay. But if you think that they are going to feel comfortable contacting you about anything separate from Japan, then is there really a lot of risk? in focusing?
No, well, thinking, I guess, of that way, since they don't know me anyways, then I would say no. No, there isn't.
Okay. All right. And it doesn't have to be forever. I mean, best case scenario, right? You do this for a month and you get 20 people that sign up and then you move on to the next thing anyways, right? Once that's full or, you kind of have that pipeline, then you figure out what the next big main offer that you want to drive people to. Maybe that's the 2025 trip,
Yeah,
and maybe
that's
you do it.
maybe next.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
it's not forever. It's not that you're never going to switch. It's just that you want to fill up this trip. That is your focus,
Mhm.
to get you financial freedom and to get you to that number that you need to be able to walk away from the job. Because once that happens, you can do all the trips, right?
Right.
Then anytime somebody says, "I've been wanting to go to Jamaica. I've been wanting to go to Brazil," you're ready. You can start adding that, filling up that calendar.
Mhm. Okay. Well, since it's gonna be the month of November, will be exactly 1 year out, I can try that for the month of November.
Yep. And you also have, Black Friday. You have some opportunities to do some fun things. This could be, so if it were me, I would position it as a holiday gift. Like, are you thinking of a big gift for an experience with your spouse, with your mom, with your siblings? Maybe this is something that you all get each other, or like maybe like for me personally, if somebody were to say like, um, maybe you and your mom can take this trip of a lifetime together. How many more of these are you going to have together? Maybe
Mhm.
not very many, right? Or you and your spouse, or get your siblings, your best friends together and take one big trip. And so you can kind of use it as a holiday, um, buy yourself the gift of a lifetime or treat somebody you love to something really special. And the benefit of doing this now is the payments, right? Can they pay in
Right.
payments if they start
Yep,
sooner?
that's the why we start out a year out so that it makes it very budget friendly.
Yeah, yeah. So really focus on that. And you know, if you sign up today, your payments are only X dollars per month. That's anybody can afford that, right? If this is important, you can set that aside for the next 12 months to do this amazing trip and have all these amazing experiences. So I think that it's a good time to just try out something a little different and see if that helps to bring in um, new guests and new
Mhm.
travelers.
Okay, well, it doesn't hurt. That sounds like I have nothing to lose in this case. So, yeah.
Good. All right. Excellent. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's it. So that's like a marketing strategy going forward that I'm in the middle of finishing wrapping up now, so it's perfect timing. So no, I like that idea how you phrased it towards the end to make me. I just need to paint a vision as to how this can be done. So that was helpful.
Excellent. Okay. Good. Good. Well, it's been a pleasure to learn about you and your company. And if people want to take this trip or any other trip, where can they find you?
They can contact me on my website, which is www.soaringwolimits.com. And I'm also on Instagram, on Facebook under Swole, and Soaring Without Limits Enterprises, and LinkedIn under Monique Pearson.
Excellent. Okay. And I'll include those in the show notes as well. So people can easily find you and get signed up, because I will testify that Japan is an amazing trip. It really is a once in a lifetime
Yeah.
adventure that I would recommend everybody do. And take your mom, take your best friend, take your partner, take your kids. I went with my husband and my kids, and it was an amazing trip. So I
You heard
hope.
it first from Kris, people. So there you go.
Right. Definitely do it. All right, great. Well, thank you so much, Monique. I look forward to talking to you next time.
Well, thanks for having me.
That was another great episode. It was really fun to meet Monique and learn all about her travel company. The trip she's planning does sound amazing. And so I hope that it gets fully booked and she's able to plan even more trips like it. And I'll definitely be looking into them because my girlfriends and I have started doing annual trips to amazing places. We did Italy right after my Japan trip this year. We went to Italy. I flew home from Japan early, left my husband and the kids there, and I met up with the girls, and we spent 2 weeks starting in Florence, working our way through the wineries down to Rome. So I highly recommend getting your loved ones together and doing some amazing vacations that really just build memories and stuff. So super exciting to hear more about that. If you would like to be a guest on Fulfilled After 40, the podcast, just visit the website, fulfilledafter40.com, and you can request a session and we'll get you booked for a future episode. If you would like to have a coaching session with me that is not public and on the podcast, it's just a private session, there's opportunities for that as well. And I know we've talked a little bit about the intensives that I'm offering. I have a discount for listeners only. That is $2,000 off the price that you'll find on the regular package. So it's at fulfilledafter40.com/intensive. And that is a 2 days where I will travel to any city in the country to work with you wherever you want to meet up. And we'll just from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. get through all of your business issues. So whether that's getting started from zero, or if you're already earning a good income and you want to help, you want some help to get to that next level, we'll just go straight through it all. So I'm looking forward to working with more of you on that. And until next time, I hope you all have a great week and get lots of fun projects done as we move into the holidays. All right, we'll talk to you soon.